We have one of the best, as always. So I am going to introduce her and get out of her way. Tracey D. Armstrong, entrepreneur, educator, and motivator, has a passion to positively impact the lives of others. Her goal is to transform lives by transforming minds. Her powerful podcast, What's Your Mess, encourages listeners to overcome their situations in life. Her book, The Power of the P, outlines the principal P's to help you live a more productive, prosperous, and purposeful life. And her ebook, Connecting Hearts, is a guide to better communication with the ones you love. Leading us tonight with her message, The Art of Self-Love, from self-criticism to self-compassion.
Art of self-love, from self-criticism to self-compassion. First question, do you love yourself? Many of you probably said, yeah, of course I do. I love myself. What kind of question is that? But do you really? Let's take a quick survey and let's really see if you truly love yourself. So first question is, do you criticize yourself on a daily or maybe a weekly basis? Do you put everyone else's needs before your own needs? Do you put off achieving your dreams and your goals and never really push toward them? Do you settle with just getting by? Because if any of those resonate with you, believe me, you are not alone. Many people do not even realize that they lack the self-love that they really need until it is really broken down to them and explained to them what self-love really looks like. And many people, they really do not know how to love themselves because they were never shown love themselves. And then maybe they were shown love, but it was the way that their people knew how to show love. So it might have been like me. Because for me, generation after generation, love was passed down by what people can provide for you. Or I'm going to work and I'm keeping a roof over your head. So that's love. But there was never any verbal, I love you. There was never any physical, come here, let me give you a hug because I love you. And so I grew up not really knowing what love looked like because it was only expressed in those ways that my family knew how to express love. So how can I know how to give love if I never received love? And how do I know how to really and truly love myself if I never learned how to love myself? Now, this is what we're going to talk about today, because for me, I criticize myself a lot. I self-criticize because I never liked the way that I looked. I never liked the things that I did. I never really knew how to truly love myself. And for those of you wondering, okay, well, what does self-love really look like? Because what some people have done, they've taken the word self-love and they've made it into a negative connotation. Like if you love yourself, then you're conceited, or if you love yourself, then you're vain, things like that. And so I was taught, hey, you don't want to love yourself too much, because if you love yourself too much, that it's a bad thing. But I have a question. If self-love is caring about your own well-being, what's wrong with that? If self-love is about caring about your own happiness, what's wrong with that? And if self-love is about doing things for yourself, to grow yourself physically, to grow yourself mentally, to grow yourself spiritually, what's wrong with that? And I had to learn how to love myself because I feel like I wasn't shown love. Now, there's benefits of loving yourself. Research has shown that When you love yourself, you have less anxiety, less depression. When you love yourself, you recover easier when you are going through a stressful situation. It's also proven that people who love themselves have an overall more optimistic look on life. And then they also live life a little bit more healthier, make healthier decisions, and have healthier behavior. And I 100% truly agree with that, because when I was living life without loving myself, I'm going to be honest, I made some poor decisions. I got in some really, really bad relationships, because how can I be in a relationship with someone and not know how to love myself? Without growing up hearing the words, I love you, when I got older, the first person on every Tom, Dick, and Harry that would say, I love you, I thought it was true love. I mean, am I the only one? I hope I'm not the only one, but I might be the only one, but it's okay. I used to really, truly believe that everybody that approached me that said the words, I love you, loved me. Because look, they said the words. They showed affection. They were there. They acted like they cared. So therefore, this must be true love. And what happened was, getting into all those different relationships led to some destructive aspects of life. I made choices that were not the best choices. I put myself in situations where I shouldn't have put myself in those types of situations. But you know what? I did it all for love. But this is what I've come to learn. My family showed me love the way they thought love was supposed to be shown. And so I reciprocated that love to the people who I was in relationships with. But guess what? All of those relationships failed. I just got to say that. All those relationships failed. All those relationships that I was thinking was going to be he going to be the one. Oh, he going to be the one. Oh, this one going to be the one. Oh, this one. Guys, let me tell you, and I'm just being honest. I'm being really transparent right now. I have had my shares of ups and downs in relationships, but I realized that it was because I never really knew how to love myself first. And this is the first person that you have to have the relationship with before you can go and have these relationships with other people. And it wasn't until I was taking a class at church and I had just got out of a failed relationship, and my teacher, I must have been bitter or something in class, because the class was about love. And my teacher called me out and she was like, let me tell you, little girl, and this is how she kind of talked to me, right? She was like, until you learn how to love yourself first, all of these other relationships will fail, because you are looking for this man to fill a hole in your heart that your family made in childhood. Guys, that's that childhood trauma people be talking about, like for real, for real. I was like, man, and I was really, I was like, whatever. I was like, you don't know me like that. I love myself, because I was the type of person that I would walk around the house and I look in the mirror and I'd be like, oh yeah, I love myself. And I'd be like, I'd buy stuff for myself. I'd take myself places. It was to the point where my family even called me vain. Like, I go to my auntie's house and she'd see me look in the mirror. She starts singing that song, "You're so vain. I bet you thought this song was about you." And y'all know I can't sing. If you didn't know, I can't sing. However, she would say this all the time, because look, I was grown, I had money, I had the cars, I had the career, but I realized it was all a facade, y'all. I was using all the materialistic things to cover up the brokenness inside. I was using all those things in life that I thought was bringing me the true happiness. I was using all those relationships to try to bring me true happiness. But no matter what I tried to fill my life up with, I still wasn't truly happy. Inside, I still didn't love myself. And after that teacher said that to me, and I truly recognized that I didn't love myself, that was like that pivotal moment. Have y'all ever had the moment where like the light bulb goes off? Somebody says something to you, and you be like, man, you in denial at first. And then you're like, you know what? I think she's right. I think she's right. Maybe that's why all my relationships have failed. Maybe that's why I'm still not happy, even with all the things that I have. So this is what I did, because I really, really realized that the hole was getting deeper, the hole was getting bigger. Every failed relationship just led to more stress, more anxiety, more feeling like you done messed up. So I had to come to myself. And the first thing I had to learn on my way to self-love was self-compassion. I had to have self-compassion for myself. The poor decisions that I had made, I would always beat myself up like, Tracey, why'd you do that, man? Man, you shouldn't have went there. Man, you shouldn't have did that. Why? And so I had to have self-compassion. And some of you out there, you may be beating yourself up for things that may have gone wrong or decisions that you may have made. Self-compassion is being understanding towards yourself when you fail, when you feel inadequate. Oh my gosh, the feeling of inadequacy. So feeling like you're not enough, feeling like it's never enough, feeling like you didn't do enough. Have self-compassion rather than beating yourself up and self-criticizing. Because I'll tell you, we can be the hardest people on ourselves. I know I didn't need anybody to criticize me because I would criticize myself enough to where I didn't give myself a break. I was my worst enemy at times. And self-compassion, I had to recognize, Tracey, you are not perfect. You are not perfect, and you may fail sometimes, and life may have some difficulties, but you got to be gentle with yourself. You got to be kind when you have these painful experiences that come up in your life. And then the next thing is self-forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself. Now, some people say, okay, well, what's the difference between self-compassion and self-forgiveness? This is the thing. Self-forgiveness is when you look at the things you've done in the past and you say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for the things that I did. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let go of the past. I'm going to let go of the things that people did in the past, and I'm going to forgive them so that I can forgive myself so that I can move on. The next thing, you got to make a decision about what you're going to forgive yourself on. Because you might have this list of things that you did, and you need to go through list by list, item by item. Forgive myself for making that decision. You know what, Tracey? It's the past. Let it go. Okay, you went over. Okay, forgive yourself. It's okay. Then the next thing I learned was self-reflection. This is a big one. I do this one like all the time, especially with teaching. I self-reflect to see, what did I do? What could I have done differently? How could I have made a better impact? But when you self-reflect, you stop, you recognize those emotions that are within. You take a moment and you say, okay, why am I sad? Why am I happy? Why am I letting this bother me? And then sometimes you think back, you're like, man, I let that bother me. And it didn't even matter after I had spent all my time worrying about something. So remember, self-reflecting. And sometimes we'll talk to other people and we'll be like, hey, you got this. You can do it. Be happy. And then when it comes to yourself, you struggle with telling yourself, you can do this. You got this. Be happy. Have that good emotion. Because it's easy for us to say it to other people, but when it comes to ourselves, we struggle. Now, a couple of things about self-love, because it's not just, oh, yeah, I love myself today. Self-love is continuous. It's a continuous action. It's a continuous process. It is a continuous choice. You have the choice of self-love. You have the choice of treating yourself right. And here's some action steps, because it takes action to continuously love yourself. First thing, say yes to boundaries. Saying yes to boundaries means knowing when to say, hey, not today, I'm going to go, I don't have time for that right now. And I wouldn't say I don't have time for it. Like, even with my family, they'd be like, Tracey, you ain't never got time. No, at the moment, I have something else that I'm trying to do, especially if it's for myself. But it doesn't mean you have to be selfish, because I still help others, but you have to have a boundary of knowing when to say no. Because I know some people will run themselves ragged helping others, and then when it comes time to doing for themselves, they don't have the time to do for themselves. Might be some of y'all. A couple of other things is say yes to getting help. It is okay to get help. Some people feel like, oh, if I ask for help, then I'm showing weakness or anything like that. It's okay to get help. Help is going to help you have a more successful life in loving yourself. And then the other thing is say yes to treating yourself sometimes. Treat yourself. An example, a massage. Go get a massage. Take yourself shopping. Treat yourself to a little vacation. It's okay to go on vacation. Vacations are good. And then learn how to say yes to loving yourself. And what I mean by that is some people put off loving themselves. They put it off because they think that if I love myself, then I'm being selfish and I'm not looking out for other people. I have to do for other people before I do for me. Say yes to loving yourself, because it is so important. It leads to living a happier, healthier life. It will influence who you pick as your mate. It's important. You got to love yourself first. It influences how you do your work, because when you don't love yourself, you're not really putting yourself first. So you're really not doing your work first. And then it gives you the power, and it enhances you to want to keep going, because you're like, hey, I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for myself. And then the last couple of things of why self-love is so important. The way you raise your children will depend on how you love yourself. The way you interact with others around you depend on how you love yourself. And the way you cope with problems in life will depend on how you love yourself. So, are there any questions?
To go on this journey, how long did it take for you?
Honestly, I was in that class when I was 35 years old. I was 35 when that teacher told me you don't love yourself. So I'm not saying you can't love yourself earlier, because you can, once you realize that, hey, I really don't truly love myself. And so that class, that was 10 years ago. And I would say once my eyes were open, then I journeyed probably a couple of more years after that on really grasping how to love myself. And so I would say a couple of years to really fully be able to like now, even at work, I'll come in and I'll be like, I don't be worrying about what anybody else say or do, because I'm doing Tracey. And I'm here if you need help, I'm here to help. I will give, but Tracey is gonna make sure that Tracey takes a vacation, go shopping, I get my massage, those things like that. But I would say for me, it was a couple of years, because I read books, because it was the whole thing of always wanting to be in a relationship, because the relationship made me feel like I was had love. But learning how not to be in a relationship, learning how to be on your own and not be bothered by being by yourself. So hopefully that answers.
That does. and I'm sorry, I have a part two. Sorry. And it just came to me when you were talking. How has this helped your relationship with your daughter? 'Cause, you know.
Oh, wow. That one right there. Okay. Because I never heard I love you, I used to tell still like she's away at college now, but I'll send her something, Instagram, whatever about love, 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 love. I wanted to make sure she heard it so that it wouldn't be foreign to her when she did hear it from some young man. Okay. I also wanted to show her. So my whole thing is with people, when I talk to people about this, they'll say, well, people show love in different ways, which is true. However, you can say it and show it, and it just makes it even better. Because some people say, well, I show you love by doing this, or I show you love when I took you out to dinner. But it feels good to hear it too. It's kind of like it solidifies, but it's like a both and. But with my daughter, I think that it has helped me being able to love myself because I'm able to teach her how to love herself. And I think I might have taught her too well because she's like, hey, she's focused on getting what she needs to get done. She'll step out and help people and things like that. But it's like, I think that the self-love part really helps focus on achieving your dreams and goals. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to say this. February, it's the month of love, they say. And so I've been posting on social media every day about loving yourself first. So remember, this month, as we finish up the month of February, take the time out to love yourself. Take the time out to invest in yourself because self-love is the key to moving from self-criticism to self-compassion. Thank you, guys. Start your journey to self-love today. Purchase the book bundle for only $20. Ebook, Connecting Hearts, A Guide for Better Communication, and The Power of the P, the principal P's to productive, prosperous, and purposeful living.